Hey guys, welcome back to Fandom Sage Powers, where we discuss comics, heroes, villains, and the Dawn. The Dawn of X, that is. We are at our X-Force issue number 6, and we're about to jump in right now. After the assassination of Professor X on Krakoa, mutant leadership formed an agency for counterintelligence and combat application dubbed X-Force. Beast, one of the most tenured and trusted X-men on Krakoa, leads the counterintelligence operations. Another click to the northwest, and you should arrive at the target. My nose says otherwise, Sage. The target's on us. Proceed with extreme caution. Anticipate a hostile response. This mission never happened, so don't leave behind witnesses. I like to think of X-Force as a dark orchestra. Some of us prefer the spotlight of the melody, like a shrill, brilliant violin, or a fun, emotive sax, while others harmonize in the background. Some serve a necessary function by mindlessly beating drums and crashing cymbals, pleasuring in their violent rhythm. And there are those who are as versatile as a cello, able to play melody or harmony, to swing between the brightest and darkest notes. And I am their conductor. Some of my musicians would refuse to admit this, but it is a fact. I am the mind, I am the conscience. I unify them and shape their missions, and interpret their needs and control their pacing. I am in charge of interpreting all data for Krakoa. That means I control all information. And if some of that information is damaging to mutant kind generally, or X-Force specifically, I arrange the cleanup, with bribes, planted evidence, false news reports, memory erasure, whatever it takes to hide our work. A helicopter crashed because of a rotor malfunction. A lab burned to the ground because of a bad circuit. Really, I would prefer to avoid trouble altogether, and that requires me to be in a state of constant anticipation, like a father chasing after his toddlers, forestalling every steep drop and sharp edge and choking hazard. He hoped for death. He dreamt welcomingly of the bullet, or the blade, or the poison that would fell him. His fellow mutants deserved the happiness and safety he provided them, but he knew that some part of them remained equivalent to spoiled children. They could only value what they had if they recognized how easily this gift, nationhood, resurrection, might be stripped away. The lofty walls of Krakoa could fall. A deathly season, after all, makes one grateful for the warm bloom of spring. Words can only accomplish so much. His own notions of what liberty and power and self-actualization and nationhood mean could not be forced onto others by speeches. He needed a spectacle of blood. He needed collective grief and anguish. He needed a scar that ran across the entire island that scored the heart of mutant kind. Without this, some early proof that the rough beasts had been aroused and incited by mutant innovation, his fellow mutants wouldn't be unified except in theory and geography. Inevitably, strife and differences, old and new grudges, would drive them apart. Krakoa needed a Lusitania. Krakoa needed a Pearl Harbor. Right now they had a choice. He knew their survival depended on them feeling that they had no choice. His death and his rebirth would be the ultimate expression of his dream. The new dawn couldn't truly begin until the Five brought him back, because then the mutants would know that their future and existence did not depend on him, but upon themselves. This is how he would cement the faith of the nation and ready everyone for the horrors to come. I hope that you sympathize with the delay in signing the treaty, Professor. We are a proud country. There is humility in joining us, but no shame. There are many people in Terra Verde who would disagree with you. Gaia Padre. That's why Black Tom's here. We don't trust what's going on here. Got the creeping flesh. Everything will be fine, Black Tom. Not gonna let happen what happened before. Never again we won't. Supposed to be defending Krakoa, but there's no Krakoa to defend without the Professor. That's what we say. I'm certainly grateful. Buenas tardes, mi cuidados. I promised you change. I'll admit, this isn't the change I was imagining. But nonetheless, know that what I'm doing for the greater good of Terra Verde. And... oh! What? Ah!
There will be no deal. The mutants aren't in charge. And neither are you.
Not on Black Tom's watch. Down, down, down! No! Por favor! What are you?
We are the future of Terra Verde.
Not again, we said. Not now, and not ever. You keep where you is, Professor. Nobody's getting to you without getting through Black Tom. And Black Tom's a mean, stabby pile of splinters and razor blades. Now piss off, veggies. And then what happened? And then they pissed off, the maggots. Didn't so much as give us a lash. Ran off like a bunch of wee little babies with wasps in their diapers. So you're saying they ran off, but the president suffered only minor injuries, and Xavier none, because we was doing our job. They ran off because Black Tom was going to shove a fist up their beast. President Cocom has publicly announced that he will no longer be signing the treaty. Will you please cross-examine all the video footage from the ceremony, Sage? Cocom has faced many assassination attempts since he took office years ago. Something makes this one different. The difference is Black Tom's the difference. I've hacked the phones and cameras of everyone at the ceremony. It's obvious these men and women, if that's the right word for what they are, didn't want Xavier, and they didn't want Cocom. They wanted his son. Almost done. Just one more switch, Señor Presidente. I'm sorry about the pain. Don't be sorry. I deserve it. I know this is going to feel impossible, considering what you've gone through today. But I insist that you rest. Rest is indeed the very best prescription. That's excellent advice. You should follow it yourself. No! No, 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 you can't be here. Help! Help! That's why we're here. To help. Please. They'll kill him. They'll kill my son if they know I'm talking to you. Then there's no need to talk. Shh. The people holding his son hostage. They're scientists. Telefloronic scientists. They've been infected by their work. They're no longer themselves. The president believes they've been driven mad, taken over by a hostile botanical intelligence. It's the 21st century equivalent of developing an atomic weapon even as your scientists die of radiation poisoning. What? What are you thinking? I'm thinking that we strike tonight. The situation here is more perilous than I originally realized. While I gather the field team, can you wipe the memories of any who might remember we were here? But not President Cocom? No. I want him to remember. Because then he will know, when all of this is over, that he is in our debt. Terra Verde. This troubled nation has stabilized in recent years under the rule of President Manuel Cocom, who ran on a platform of reform. The nation's GDP had previously been fueled largely by agriculture and petroleum. But the lagging economy, the fourth smallest in South America, demanded change. Following his election, Cocom made good on his promise to look to the future instead of to the past for inspiration, and focused all the nation's resources into organic technology. Tax incentives and grants and subsidies were specifically funneled into the field of telefloronics. Telefloronics is derived from the same principles of nanotechnology, only its focus is organic. Programming takes place on a cellular level. If a host body achieves microbial or fungal symbiosis, it can potentially clear the plaque from its arteries, repair synaptic pathways, heal wounds, and attack cancers. The technology is a closely guarded state secret that Cocom views as equivalent to atomic research. This phrasing has made the UN particularly anxious because it implies not just a medical breakthrough, but also the potential of weaponization. Not much is known about their advancement, but most of their initial investors, who helped shore up the Terra Verdean economy, have pulled out, citing a lack of progress. When the mutant nation first announced their treaty proposal to the world, Cocom angrily referred to Krakoan medicine as an act of plagiarism and threatened to sue, saying that the mutant nation had effectively neutered them economically. He has since walked back on that claim, and after a series of private talks, he has agreed to sign with the mutants. These telefloronics, I fear, are not merely a dark mirror to some of our Krakoan technology. The infected hosts are the organic equivalent of an Omega Sentinel, which could, in theory, give way to another version of an Omega Cycle, which could, in theory, lead to the extinction of mutant kind. You're always 5 moves ahead, aren't you, Dr. McCoy? Always. Hold back a moment, Gene. Do you remember what Sage said? Leave behind no witnesses. The telefloronics are as capable of healing their hosts as they are of hurting you. Whatever happened to kill no human? Don't get caught up in worthless moral quandary. There is a certain point at which a cyborg becomes more robot than human, yes? It's called an Omega Sentinel. Do you really think? I do. I truly do. These creatures are at that same dangerous juncture. Can you imagine what happens if this technology begins to replicate? An organic Nimrod would be the equivalent of a nightmare Gaia, a living, hostile Earth. If you're going to ensure that they stay down, I need you to... Thank you, Gene. You did the right thing. Beast. Yes, Gene? Don't f***ing patronize me. What did I miss? Just clearing some brush. But I can smell him. The president's son, Hadwin Cocom. He's up top. Get him out of here, Genie. But I don't need to be rescued.
I'm right where I want to be.
Hadwin staged his own kidnapping to force his father's hand. He believed Terra Verde was almost there. They had almost perfected the coding of the telefloronics. And when they did, the country would go from the middle of nowhere to the center of everything. When humans realized they not only had an alternative to Krakoan medicine, but also a way to weaponize their bodies, they would no longer recognize mutant sovereignty. Undoubtedly, he was right. Which is why I had his lab destroyed and his fellow revolutionaries burned to ash. If X-Force is responsible for deniable operations, then deniability must exist within the team, as well as without. I happily offered to interrogate Hadwin Cocom and neutralize the telefloronics before returning him to Terra Verde. This is not a lie, but it is an omission of a larger truth. I have studied the telefloronics source code and reprogrammed the cells to identify dendrites and axons as an infection. They will, to put it crudely, eat his mind. They are an aggressive beta-level technology. No one will know what I have done or question his condition. I realize this might seem cruel, but wouldn't it also be cruel to inform President Cocom that his son is a traitor? And wouldn't it also be cruel to doom Terra Verde to economic ruin? By returning Hadwin to his home, feeble-minded, yes, but alive, I've guaranteed that President Cocom feels resentful of the nationalists and indebted to the mutants. He will sign the treaty, thereby giving his citizens access to our medicines, thereby saving millions of people. Sometimes a little wrong makes a greater right. Sometimes bold decisions must be made, and bold decisions are never made by a committee. That's why X-Force exists. That's why I'm its conductor. Because I'm always 5 moves ahead of everyone else. Because I'm never wrong. Okay, so here's that beast that I remember that I have always seen. A lot of people refuse to see it, but Beast is very arrogant. Beast is always doing things to an extreme level when he can somehow justify it. So given the fact he has been given the authority to act unilaterally, independently of any other authority on the island, and that was implicitly stated that whatever he decides to do, ensure the safety of mutant kind, he's got a green light. So that's really writing him a blank check for whatever he wants to do. So this is already problematic. I can see this is already going to be a problem. If you like this episode, please give me that thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, what are you waiting for? Join the crew, and I'll see you in the next issue.